In the dead of night, she laughed in another man's arms, whispering how pathetic her husband was. But what she didn't know was that he was the richest man alive. And the life she was tearing apart had been built on choices she was about to face. Picture this: a quiet suburban house on the edge of the city, rain tapping steadily against the windows like a warning no one wanted to hear. Victoria Blackwell, 32, beautiful in that sharp, restless way, let her silk robe slip off one shoulder as she pulled her lover closer on their worn IKEA couch. The living room smelled of cheap candles and betrayal. "God, Ryan, I can't stand him anymore," she breathed, her voice low and hungry. "Ethan's a loser. He comes home from that dead-end accounting job smelling like stale coffee and broken dreams. I deserve excitement. I deserve this fire you give me every time we're together." Ryan, her manager at the marketing firm, grinned against her neck, his hands roaming. "Then leave him already. What's holding you back? That guy with his 5-year-old Toyota and his tiny paycheck? You're wasting your best years on a nobody." She kissed him harder, nails digging into his back. "Soon. I'll play it smart. Maybe mention how stressed I am, get him to agree to a separation with some cash, or hell, I could fake a health scare. Either way, I walk away with whatever he has and start fresh with you." Their laughter mixed with the rain. Upstairs, someone was listening, and everything was about to change. In the shadows of the narrow hallway, hidden just behind the half-open bedroom door, stood Ethan Blackwell. Tall, unassuming, still wearing the same faded gray hoodie he'd had for years. He didn't storm in. He didn't shout. He simply watched, breathing slow and even, his face calm in a way that hid the storm inside. Because Ethan Blackwell wasn't the struggling accountant his wife believed him to be. He was the sole owner of Blackwell Global, a quietly formidable empire worth over $280 billion. Blackwell Global had started as his father's modest shipping and logistics company. Ethan took over young and transformed it through patience and sharp vision. He secured long-term contracts for rare earth minerals from mines in Australia and stable regions in Africa, materials essential for smartphones, electric vehicles, and renewable energy tech. When global chip shortages hit, he quietly acquired distressed semiconductor plants in Taiwan and South Korea through layered companies. Later, corporations and a handful of governments turned to his growing private satellite network for secure, reliable data links when public systems proved vulnerable. He also built commercial real estate holdings in key growth cities like Dubai and Singapore, and maintained discreet private banking relationships in Switzerland that helped seed promising startups. Nothing screamed billionaire. No tabloid headlines, just steady, strategic power accumulated over more than a decade. Ethan had hidden it all deliberately. He'd seen money twist friendships and relationships. After losing his parents early, he craved something real. A partner who would choose him, even if he drove an old car and lived modestly. That's why he proposed to Victoria with a simple ring. That's why they moved into the unassuming 3-bedroom house. That's why he drove the Toyota, cooked dinners most nights, and said he worked late balancing books for a small firm. For the first 2 years of marriage, he truly hoped. He provided small comforts without explanation. He listened when she complained about money. He ignored the growing late nights and new clothes that didn't match her salary. But hope has limits. 6 months earlier, the signs became impossible to overlook. Unexplained charges, perfume that wasn't hers, the way her phone stayed glued to her hand. He hired a small, discreet investigative team, professionals who respected privacy and focused only on facts. The report they delivered broke something inside him. Hotel receipts, messages, photos, and voice notes where Victoria openly mocked him as dead weight and embarrassing. That rainy night in the hallway, as he listened to his wife give herself to another man, Ethan felt the final crack. He turned silently, walked downstairs, poured a glass of water, and sat alone at the kitchen table in the dark. No rage, just clarity. The marriage he had fought for was over. Now it was time for truth and consequences. The next morning, Victoria came downstairs yawning, hair messy, lipstick faintly smudged. "Morning, babe. You look exhausted. Rough night crunching numbers at that dead-end office again?" Ethan looked up from his coffee, eyes steady. "Yeah. Pretty rough. There are big changes happening at work." She poured cereal, scrolling her phone. "You really should ask for a raise or look for something better. We can barely cover groceries and the bills. Sometimes I wonder if I should be thinking about my own future more seriously." He nodded slowly. "I understand how you feel." That same afternoon at the marketing firm, Victoria slipped into Ryan's corner office and locked the door behind her. "I missed you already," she purred, sliding onto his desk. Ryan looked tense. "Victoria, things are moving upstairs. Head office is sending a new oversight team for a full review. Some accounts, including yours, are being pulled." She laughed it off, pulling him close. "We'll handle it like we always do." "Tonight, at the usual hotel?" "I need to forget about all this stress." The hotel, a mid-tier place they frequented, surprised them with a complimentary upgrade to the presidential suite. Champagne on ice, fresh flowers. "Must be our lucky night," Victoria said, already undressing. They didn't know the property had recently been acquired by one of Blackwell Global's real estate arms. Their words that night, every complaint about her pathetic husband, every plan to leave him, were recorded through standard security systems now reviewed as part of the new. Ownership transition. Ethan received the files the next morning. He didn't celebrate. He simply felt the weight of confirmation. Over the next several days, Victoria's dissatisfaction boiled over at home. One evening after dinner, she set her fork down. "Ethan, we need to talk. I'm not happy. This life feels too small for me. The routine, the budget, the way we live, I think we should consider separating. You deserve someone who fits your world, and I need more." Ethan sat quietly for a long moment. "I only ever wanted you to be happy, Victoria. I've tried to build a life for us." She rolled her eyes. "Tried? With what? Your salary barely covers basics. I need passion. Excitement." He didn't argue. He just watched her, seeing the woman he once loved slipping further away. That night he sat alone in his hidden basement study, a simple room with encrypted laptops and secure lines, reviewing the full picture of their marriage. He remembered the early days, her laughter at the charity gala where they met, the way she once looked at him like he was enough. Now those memories felt hollow. Then came the company-wide town hall. The auditorium buzzed with rumors of major ownership changes. Lights dimmed. Ethan walked onto the stage in a tailored black suit that finally matched the man he truly was. The room fell silent. "Good afternoon, everyone," he said, voice calm and commanding. "I'm Ethan Blackwell, majority owner of this firm through my company, Blackwell Global. For years, I've been involved quietly, observing how we operate. Blackwell Global has grown by focusing on essential industries, minerals that power technology, secure networks that businesses rely on, and properties that support real growth. Moving forward, this division will align with those same standards of integrity and performance." Whispers erupted. Phones came out. Victoria sat frozen in the middle rows, her face draining of color. Ryan, 2 rows behind, looked like he might be sick. The presentation continued for nearly 40 minutes as Ethan outlined future plans, new contracts, and expectations. Every word felt like a quiet hammer to Victoria's world. After the meeting, Victoria pushed past security, who now recognized the new reality, and burst into Ethan's expansive new corner office overlooking the city. "What the hell is going on, Ethan? You lied to me for years. The cheap car, the tiny house, letting me believe you were struggling, all of it?" Ethan leaned back in his chair, composed. "I didn't lie about who I was at heart. I built Blackwell Global from my father's small company through hard work and smart risks. I kept it hidden because I wanted a real marriage, not one bought with money. I gave us every chance, Victoria. I hoped you would choose me even when you thought I had nothing. Instead, you chose this." He slid a folder across the desk, the prenuptial agreement she had signed casually years earlier, thinking it barely mattered. It was airtight and fair. In any separation, she would leave with her own assets and contributions, nothing from the empire she had no part in building. Her face twisted with anger and panic. "This can't be real. You can't just rewrite our life like this." Ethan's voice remained even. "I'm not rewriting anything. These are the consequences of the choices we've both made. Mine to hide my success, yours to betray the trust we had." Victoria stormed out, tears of rage burning. She called Ryan immediately. "This is insane. We can still leave town, start over somewhere he can't reach." Ryan's voice was shaky on the line. "Victoria, the firm terminated me today over the affair. My reputation is taking hits in the industry. Rent at my place just got complicated. Everything feels like it's unraveling at once." She raced home that evening to find professional movers carefully boxing her belongings. Ethan stood quietly by the front door. "You have time to collect what's yours. The joint accounts are being separated cleanly according to the prenup. The secret storage unit and the debts from cards I didn't know about, those are now yours to handle." "You bastard," she spat. "You'll regret treating me like this." Ethan shook his head slowly. "I'm not treating you, Victoria. I'm simply letting the truth do what it does. Our choices brought us here. The weeks that followed were difficult, but gradual." Clips from the hotel recording found their way into professional circles first, then spread online as the ownership story broke. Friends and colleagues distanced themselves after learning the full context. Job applications Victoria sent out received polite rejections. Word traveled quietly through connected networks. The credit card debts she had hidden mounted, and collectors began calling. Her parents, who received unexpected help clearing their own mortgage through a channel linked to Ethan, gently chose to maintain some distance while she worked through her situation. Victoria moved into a modest motel on the outskirts. The nights felt endless. She drank too much cheap wine and scrolled through growing online judgment. She hired a lawyer and attempted a court battle, claiming emotional neglect and hidden assets. But the evidence, her messages, spending patterns, clear plans to leave, painted a clear picture. The judge ruled in line with the prenup. Victoria left the courtroom facing new financial responsibilities and no windfall. Ethan, meanwhile, began living more openly but without excess. He attended strategy meetings in modern offices, signed new mineral contracts that brought steady employment to communities, quietly increased funding for education initiatives that helped young people access opportunities, and slowly, he opened his heart again. He met Elena, a thoughtful astrophysicist working on satellite data projects. Their connection started with long conversations about science, stars, and life. No games, no masks. Real companionship grew under quiet evening skies at one of the company's maintained observatories. For the first time in years, Ethan laughed freely during a late-night talk about constellations and second chances. Months passed. On a stormy Tuesday evening, Victoria was working the night shift at the old greasy diner she and Ethan used to visit on simple date nights. She wiped tables mechanically, lost in regret. The bell above the door rang. Ethan walked in alone, wearing a simple coat, and sat at the counter. "Black coffee, please," he said gently. Her hands shook as she poured. "Did you come here to watch me suffer? To see how far I've fallen because of you?" Ethan looked at her with quiet sadness, not triumph. "No, Victoria. I came to offer you one real path forward if you're ready to take it. There's a supervisory opening at one of our mineral processing plants in Southeast Asia. Standard pay, basic company housing, honest work. No special treatment, no favors. Just an opportunity to rebuild with real effort, far from everything here. The choice is entirely yours." Tears filled her eyes. "After everything I did, why would you even offer this?" He sighed. "Because I once loved the woman I believed you could become. I won't destroy anyone's life. That was never my goal, but I also won't pretend the pain didn't happen or that choices don't carry weight. This door is open if you want to walk through it and become better. If not, I wish you well finding your own way." Victoria broke down completely behind the counter, sobbing openly. "I was so blind and greedy. I convinced myself you were nothing, so I could justify what I was doing. I threw away a man who actually cared about me, not what I could get from him. I chose short-term thrills over loyalty, and now I'm living with every single consequence. The late nights, the lies, the way I mocked you, it was all me. I see that now." Ethan stood, leaving a generous tip on the counter. "We all write our own endings through our choices. I loved the version of you that existed before the betrayal. Maybe one day you'll find a version of yourself you can respect." "Goodbye, Victoria." He walked out into the pouring rain. Behind him, she stayed on the floor, crying as a few late customers watched quietly. More public conversation followed in the days after, but it stemmed from the story she herself had set in motion. In time, Victoria accepted the position overseas. She worked the lines, learned the discipline of honest labor, and slowly began to understand the value of integrity. She started journaling her regrets, attended local community classes, and rebuilt herself one hard-earned day at a time. Years later, she sent Ethan one single letter. No demands, no excuses, just genuine remorse for the hurt she had caused and gratitude for the chance he gave her. Ethan read it one clear evening beside Elena, under a sky full of stars they both loved. He folded the letter carefully and let the past finally rest. Blackwell Global continued its steady growth, responsible mining practices, reliable secure networks, and opportunities created without needing spotlight or revenge. Ethan built a life of purpose, quiet strength, and real love with Elena. That's the deeper truth in stories like this. Betrayal cuts deep, but the sharpest lessons come from facing the mirror. When you choose to hurt someone who loved you honestly, life has a quiet way of delivering consequences that no amount of money can fully shield you from. The richest man didn't need to destroy anyone, but choices did the work. What do you think? Can real change come after deep betrayal like this? Have you ever seen consequences teach someone what love and loyalty truly mean? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. If this story stayed with you, smash that like button. Subscribe for more raw, emotional betrayal and redemption stories that feel like full Netflix series. And turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. Share this with someone who might need this reminder about choices and second chances. I'll see you in the next one. Stay true out there. Your decisions always shape the ending.